When you create something and share it on the internet, you can only hope that people enjoy it, or at the very least respect the effort you put into it. Whether it's something serious or just a passion project, knowing what you created made a positive impact even on just one person is validating. But what happens when your creation is unanimously hated? Instead of leaving a positive impact, it leads to multiple controversies, drives someone to attempt to take their own life, and forces you to leave the community you once loved. Well, that's exactly what happened to Dark Sinner, the creator of the Doki Doki Literature Club fan mod Doki Doki Amor Fati, a mod with a mixed reputation, a mod that is considered to be one of the worst DDLC mods ever made, going down as DDLC's most hated and controversial mod.
I need you, Sayuri, and you need me. I've said that one at least 5.
The following CG isn't safe for work. And there she is.
Oh my god. What have you done to her? What have you done to this woman?
Yeah, truth be told, I'm glad I took the advice to censor this.
Well, that was an experience.
Doki Doki Literature Club, or DDLC, is a 2017 indie horror game created by Dan Salvato. You play as a high school student who reluctantly joins his school's literature club after being convinced by the club's vice president and the MC's childhood friend, Sayuri. The game then acts as a normal visual novel dating sim. You help the club prepare for the upcoming school festival, spend time with the club members, write poems, and build relationships. You know, typical slice-of-life rom-com stuff. Until the morning of the festival, when you find out Sayuri had taken her own life. The game then restarts without her, with even more strange and disturbing events happening, while you just sit there, unable to do anything. Eventually it's revealed that Monika, the club president, is self-aware, and she'd been manipulating everything behind the scenes to get closer to you. Not the character, but you, the actual player, playing the game. DDLC would quickly gain popularity and praise upon its release. Its twist on the visual novel genre and themes about mental health would resonate with a lot of fans, myself included. But the ending is very open-ended, almost bittersweet in a way, leaving fans wanting more from this world and its characters. And since it didn't seem like new official content would be releasing anytime soon, fans would start to create their own. Just a few days after the game's release, a group of people on 4chan would come together to create the first DDLC fan mod, Monika Afterstory, and this mod would eventually lead to the creation of the Doki Doki Modding Club, or DDMC. Modding would allow fans to revisit DDLC's world and rewrite it as their own interpretation, and with over 500 mods available to download, there's a countless number of interpretations out there. Some mods expanded upon the game's horror elements, some were just fun shitposts, and by far the most popular are mods that rewrite the game as a wholesome romance, focusing on one or all the girls, turning the game into a normal visual novel. Mods such as Exit Music, Purist, Salvation, and Fruits of the Literature Club would become staples of the early DDMC and would set the standard for mods going forward. A common trend among a lot of mods during the early DDMC was for them to have happy or bittersweet endings. For example, the mod Doki Doki Relapse mostly focuses on Sayuri, with the MC going back in time and using his limited knowledge to help each girl through their struggles, and ending with the MC fading away from reality. It's a bittersweet ending, with Relapse being regarded as one of the best DDLC mods ever made, which I 100% agree with. The mod is really good. It was uncommon for mods to have a flat out bad or unsatisfying ending during this 2018 to 2020 era of the DDMC. The only one I can really think of is probably Exit Music, but these early mods would go on to inspire other DDLC fans to create and share their own interpretations, with one of those fans being Reddit user Dark Sinner 76. Dark Sinner's Reddit account was created on April 14, 2019 and has since been deleted with very little content archived, but from what I was able to gather, he was fresh out of high school at the time and started development on what would eventually become Amor Fati just 8 days later. He had only played a handful of mods before that, with one of them being the aforementioned Relapse. Relapse would stick with him like it did for many other DDLC fans, especially with its ending, with him later saying the ending then turned into an earworm of an eternal recurrence-esque mod. The ideas and plot of Relapse would act as the template for Dark Sinner's own mod. Development would take place over a period of 13 months and would prove itself to be a very time-consuming but well-thought-out process. Besides Doki Doki Relapse, Dark Sinner would also take inspiration from an online lecture titled Nietzsche's Theory of Eternal Reoccurrence, which is crazy inspiration for a DDLC mod. Eternal reoccurrence, also known as eternal return, is a philosophical concept that states that time repeats itself in an infinite loop, and that the exact same events will continue to occur in exactly the same way over and over again for eternity. Eternal reoccurrence is often paired with the concept of Amor Fati, land for loved one's fate, which basically means that everything that happens in life is for a reason and we should accept every aspect of it, including the bad parts. The lecture and the concept of Amor Fati would stick with Dark Sinner, leading him to write a 12-act storyboard for the mod. It's insane to me that this much thought and research went into a DDLC mod, like just make your own game at this point, like what the fuck? Dark Sinner would continue to work on the mod, releasing a now lost demo and finishing a 936-page long draft. And while the draft is impressive, it's way too long, and would go through 11 different proofreaders before Dark Sinner was finally able to cut it down to a final draft. Tired and wanting to get the project done, Dark Sinner would take it upon himself to do everything. The coding, posing, music, and some of the art, with the CG being made by the artist Booty Crusader, who's also done artwork for other mods. Which now brings us to May 26, 2020. On May 26, 2020, Doki Doki Amor Fati would officially be released to the public through a now deleted post on the DDLC mod subreddit. The mod would focus on Sayori, with the MC being stuck in a time loop similar to Groundhog Day, with him trying to stop Sayori's inevitable death but failing each time and slowly going insane before learning to accept her death and move on. The mod is pretty lengthy, being around 5 to 8 hours long, and having a much darker tone than most mods. Upon its release, the mod seemed to get decent reviews. Dark Sinner even made it a point to watch every playthrough of the mod that existed at the time, and actually enjoyed watching them, saying, "It was a great feeling, like I was on top of the world." But the more reviews that came in, the more Dark Sinner's outlook on his mod would change. Dark Sinner's Amor Fati goes from artsy and empty to and disgusting, was the title for a review by a now deleted Reddit user Williamson, and posted about a week after the mod's release on June 6, 2020. I would show the post on screen, but I cannot find it archived anywhere, so I'm just going based off the 2-year Amor Fati retrospective doc and the comments, but trust me, the review was negative if you couldn't tell by the title. A lot of the comments under the post would also share the same sentiment. I couldn't agree more, the mod is twisted and disgusting. I hope it gets deleted from the internet forever. Yeah, I didn't like this at all. The end had me calling out, what a fucking waste of time at the end. That is dark, really dark, like what the fuck? You have to be pretty fucked in the head to write stuff like that as it is. But about someone like Sayori? Fuck this mod. Dark Sinner would try to explain his thought process in the comments of the post, and would later reflect on it saying, "I remember feeling bad, like I had done something wrong. At the time, I passed it off as just a hater hating. He just doesn't get it," I would think to myself. More and more negative comments and reviews would start to pour in, leading to Dark Sinner's opinion on his own mod flip-flopping, but no other review would affect him more than the bike's playthrough. The Bike is a DDLC YouTuber and modder with over 74,000 subscribers and is one of the biggest and oldest DDLC-focused content creators. While his reputation is a bit mixed, he is still a highly respected figure within the space. And on September 29, 2020, The Bike would start a 6-part livestream series playing Amor Fati, and was very open about his thoughts on the mod.
We walk out the door, we didn't have the time, blah, 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 blah. Wave of nostalgia, blah, 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 blah. Just get to it, man. Get to the fucking point. I'll gladly watch you rip and tear. Dude, why? Why, man? Why would you don't put references to shit like Doom and steamed hams in your mod. This actually works. Doing shit like that takes me out of it. Oh my god. What have you done to her? What have you done to this woman?
Even breaking down crying at one point, which if you've seen the Bike's content, that is an impressive feat. Dark Sinner would acknowledge the Bike's playthrough, saying, "His mod and commentary became a major reality check. At the time, I had never seen such a versatile and vocal reaction to the mod. It was physically painful to watch. By the end of the playthrough, I believed he was one of the few that generally got what the mod was trying to do, and he was able to appreciate it to some degree. I've never seen someone cry on camera before. When Bike finally reached the ending, I could tell he broke a bit. After revisiting his playthrough last year, I could see where it was coming from a lot more." The Bike didn't hate the mod, stating that he actually thought it was pretty decent.
Well, I didn't completely hate it.
But his reaction and criticism would definitely change the way Dark Sinner would perceive his work going forward. Negative reviews and hate are to be expected whenever you post something online, and at the end of the day, something like a DDLC mod is not that big of a deal and can't cause too much harm, right? November 2nd, 2020, 33 days after the Bike's playthrough and about 5 months after the mod's release, Amor Fati CG artist Booty Crusader would make a post on the DDMC subreddit titled "Addressing Things," where she would respond to the negativity and hate towards her artwork, not only for Amor Fati but for other mods as well. I've been made aware that due to my more lighthearted reactions on some posts on Reddit regarding my CGs, there's a bit of a twisted idea of who I am and what I stand for, spreading among some people. I am not out to hurt anyone. I am not trying to make things that would actively scar anyone that enjoys DDLC and its mods. I apologize. I just wanted to make something that would shock, not ruin anyone's life. I completely agree with this. You shouldn't harass someone if you don't like their artwork, especially when it's just a job for them. They're getting paid to make something based off what someone else commissioned. But what would be the reasoning behind this post? What would be the tipping point that made her feel like she had to post this? Because a user had reached out to her saying the CG she drew for Amor Fati made them nearly commit suicide. Upon learning this from Booty Crusader, Dark Sinner would reach out and speak to the user involved, NovaMonika, and they would spend the next 2 days talking, trying to understand each other and where they were coming from, eventually being able to bury the hatchet and become friends, with NovaMonika later making a post apologizing to the both of them. Over the following days, Dark Sinner would of course feel terrible about the whole situation, saying, "I was terrified of myself and what I was capable of. Booty Crusader may have made the art, but I felt like the blame for that fell on my shoulders." This should come without saying, but please don't harass anyone I mentioned. This whole thing just got a lot darker and a lot more serious than what most people would have expected, and obviously it's an insane and difficult thing to deal with. The only thing I can hope for is that everyone is doing okay. Let's just move on to the next section. This is getting way too depressing. In less than a year, Amor Fati would quickly become surrounded by controversy and negativity, and while there were people who did enjoy the mod, the overall public reception was that the mod wasn't good, was way too fucked up, and gave off the wrong message. With all of this taking a toll on Dark Sinner, he tried to keep himself busy with college and other projects, such as his now cancelled second mod, This Reality of Mine, which saw very little success compared to Amor Fati. The controversy started to make Dark Sinner view his own mod in a negative light, and he was getting tired of all the negativity surrounding it, with everything reaching a breaking point following the Camping Carl incident. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the Camping Carl controversy, as that alone could be its own video, and it's just one of the multiple controversies the DDMC has gotten into. But basically what happened was that one of the original creators of the DDMC, Camping Carl, would be exposed for allegedly being a and it would cause a bunch of people to leave the community, including Dark Sinner. On May 27, 2021, about a year after Amor Fati's release, Dark Sinner would remove the mod and make a post on the DDMC subreddit explaining why. I wasn't happy with it, plain and simple. As the months following the initial release passed, I slowly started to see the cracks in the mod, and given all the roaring community drama, I thought it would be best to just take down the mod and move on. Do I plan on remaking it and or bringing it back? No, not in a million years. He would also explain that the mod's takedown had nothing to do with any of the controversies, although personally I find that kinda hard to believe. Even if they weren't the direct reason, they definitely had a role to play, because it's just hard to ignore everything that happened. But for now and the foreseeable future, this was the end for Doki Doki Amor Fati. Amor Fati is a DDLC mod surrounded by controversy and negativity, and after falling down the Amor Fati rabbit hole and seeing the DDMC's reaction, I wanted to play through the mod myself and figure out what actually went wrong. What did people not like about the mod? Was it really as bad as it was made out to be? And did Amor Fati truly deserve all the hate? Amor Fati starts the day before the festival, with the MC going to visit Sayori and her opening up about her depression. The MC then goes to the club for the festival but quickly goes back to check up on Sayori, but he's already too late. Just like the original game, Sayori had taken her own life, but this time things would be different. After passing out, the MC wakes up back at the beginning of the week, before he joined the club, before Sayori. With him seeing this as a new opportunity to help Sayori, he tells the club about her depression and tries to get her the help she needs, but it doesn't work. After failed attempt after failed attempt, the MC starts to go insane and becomes obsessive over saving Sayori, which eventually leads to the MC receiving a message from an angel. This is what takes me out of the mod a little bit, and is offered the chance to change his own fate and be with Sayori. By following the angel's orders, the MC abducts her, drugs her, threatens her, and her. This mod is fucking, this latter half of the mod is fucking insane. The angel then demands a sacrifice for Sayori's life, and with the MC growing bitter towards Monika throughout the mod, and it being revealed that she played a role in Sayori's depression, he goes and confronts her, knife in hand, leading to one of the most infamous and brutal scenes ever put in the DDLC mod. I would show the CG for the scene, but it's pretty gory and this video would immediately get age restricted if I did, so if you really want to go see it, you can look it up on your own, but fair warning, it is pretty graphic. Even after killing Monika, Sayori still dies, with the MC being given the choice to either continue the cycle for eternity or move on and accept Sayori's death. After hearing the plot summary, you can probably see why Amor Fati was viewed very negatively. The mod took a very dark twist on not only the original DDLC, but also the type of mods that were popular at the time. Like I mentioned, the most popular genre of mods were the ones that rewrote the game as a wholesome romance that helped one or all of the girls through their struggles. A lot of fans want to see these characters be helped, and while some mods may have some dark and disturbing aspects to them, which is kind of unavoidable for DDLC, generally the way fans expect a mod to be is positive and uplifting, maybe a little bittersweet, but most of the popular mods didn't stray too far away from this formula, so I think a lot of people were just taken aback or put off by the mod's overly graphic nature and taboo subject matter. Plus, when you're taking a character like Yuri, who's viewed in the fandom as a sweet, wholesome character, and put her in the situations the way the mod did, it's gonna get some people upset. The biggest complaint and most talked about aspect of Amor Fati is its CG. The CG is very graphic, as I mentioned, and the scene it's attached to is very brutal, and it would clearly leave an impact on people like it did with NovaMonika. And the thing to know about the DDMC and the DDLC community as a whole is that people can get very attached to these characters, so when something like a mod has a graphic scene of the MC brutally killing one of the most popular and beloved characters in the fandom, it would lead to some automatically disliking the mod and sending hate towards its creator. I mean, former DDLC YouTuber Vandermelon was stalked and harassed over her portrayal as Monika and stopped making DDLC videos because of it, so there are some people out there who do take this thing very seriously. The MC's characterization is also something that a lot of people brought up, mostly how he just sort of walks away without any consequences for his actions towards Yuri and Monika. The MC isn't a blank slate for the player to see themselves in, which sort of makes the whole story less immersive for the player, and not to mention the MC is our protagonist and we're supposed to be rooting for the protagonist to succeed, but when they're doing the actions the MC did in the mod, it's very hard to be on their side. And the overall theme of the mod is very strange. The way it's presented comes off as you should let your friend commit suicide because it was going to happen anyway. I honestly don't know what the mod was trying to do with that. I honestly don't get it. While Dark Sinner did leave the DDLC community, he would continue to work on visual novels, although the projects he had worked on would eventually fall through. He would be reintroduced to DDLC thanks to working on Elila After Story. Similar to the Camping Carl stuff, I'm not going to go into too much detail about Elira Rose and her own controversies, but she's a DDLC content creator and modder who's friends with Dark Sinner. The two of them would talk about Amor Fati and how despite the controversies, there were still people who liked the mod. And eventually, they planned for an Amor Fati redux called Doki Doki Amor Fati Changing Fates, with Dark Sinner later explaining his reasoning as, "I don't write Changing Fates to prove anything. I didn't need it to prove a vocal minority that I can make heat, or prove to the community that I'm not some monster that killed off Monika in the most over-the-top way. I wrote Changing Fates as there's a story I want to tell." Although this would ultimately go nowhere, Dark Sinner would delete his Reddit account and seemingly abandon the mod and leave the DDLC community and the internet for good. Alright, so update. While I was recording this, I was able to find Dark Sinner's YouTube account and possibly his Steam account. I know for sure the YouTube account is his because he commented under the Bikes Let's Play not that long ago. And for the Steam account, I'm pretty sure it is because it's the same username and because one of the most played games is Doki Doki Literature Club. So it seems like Dark Sinner is still in the community but not as involved as he once was. And of course, don't harass him or anything, I'm just letting you all know. It has been 5 years since Amor Fati's release, and it has mostly become a footnote within the wider DDMC history, but there is still discussion about the mod and has sort of gone down as an urban legend within the community. It still gets constantly mentioned when asking for the worst DDLC mod, which is actually how I found the mod in the first place, seeing it consistently appear as an answer. And I was just taken aback by the controversy surrounding it, especially when it's not really talked about that much in the community. Personally, I don't think Amor Fati is a bad mod. It's actually become one of my favorite DDLC mods just because of how out there the idea is. I feel like the DDMC is in a state of just making very similar and frankly basic ass mods, so when something like Amor Fati gets released, I just have a lot more respect for its bolder concept and ideas. Of course the mod isn't perfect, far from it, but the mod is more unique compared to others. Amor Fati reminds me a lot of ReZero, just this really bleak and dark psychological horror with the main character just suffering throughout it. Plus I love ReZero, so naturally I would like this mod too. Whether you like the mod or not, it's definitely one of the more interesting DDLC mods out there, and has left an impact on multiple people for better or for worse. And while new content for it is unlikely, Amor Fati will still go down as one of DDLC's most impactful mods. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll be doing more content like this in the future, so if that interests you, maybe consider subscribing. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video.